Friends, and welcome to today's topic, Trenton Talks. I'm your host, Jacques Howard. I'm also the host of the Trenton 365 show, heard right here on WIMG Monday nights from 8 to 9 p.m., where I will be interviewing guests like my guest tonight. But first, I'm going to say that you're listening over WIMG 1300 live. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well, WIMG 1300. And our website is WIMG1300.com. Now, to my guest. I have Kimberly Matthews in the studio. Excuse me. Kimberly is the Executive Director of the Trenton Free Public Library, and there's so much information I want to get out to the audience today. Kimberly, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.
Excellent. So let's get right into it. Okay. You've been at the Trenton Free Public Library for how long, and what brought you to the area?
I have been here for almost 7 years in April. So what brought me to the area was this position. So came here, took the job, and haven't looked back. Very excited. Excellent.
And so the library is going through a lot of transitions over the 7 years that you have been here. And what I want to focus on is where we are now.
Good.
And where we are going. Folks, I was just at the library for an event last Thursday in conjunction with McCarter Theater's Education Center, and it was an absolutely amazing event. It was a read-in. Kimberly, talk about that a little bit.
It was a really phenomenal experience. We were contacted by the McCarter Theater, and they were working on something that was a collaborative effort with several different public libraries, specifically Princeton, our library, and what they wanted to do is bring together members of the community to do a reading. And it was really I also have a background in theater, and so it was a really interesting experience for me to see it all come together. It was a sitting in the round of community members. We were each given a short passage to read, either a poem, a piece of a speech from someone, a piece of legislation, various things relating to the African American experience throughout decades, and then placed in a very particular order by the theater and then read in conjunction. It created a very powerful experience. And then afterwards, then we had a moment to share our thoughts about the experience itself and what we thought about that. It was a very moving experience.
Absolutely. Indeed it was. And folks, more information can be found, I'm sure, if you go to the McCarter website. The Trenton365.blogspot.com has a short review that I wrote about it as well. So there's lots of information out there about the experience. It was absolutely wonderful. Kimberly, I want you to talk about what the library offers, because Wendy Nardi is one of my favorite people here in the city of Trenton, and I'm sad to hear that she's going to be retiring.
It is very sad.
But I want you to talk about some of the different things that the Trenton Free Public Library offers.
Oh, gosh. The offerings of our organization are so broad that it really touches on so many things. Just very much like the event on Thursday, we offer not only the services that we provide, but also to touch back on that, we offer space. We were very pleased to be a participant and a host of that, but it was not our program. We were simply very blessed to be a part of it. And so very much like that, people come to us and they want to have their events at our location. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to get out there to people and to different organizations, that not only do we want to partner with those organizations to create wonderful experiences in the city of Trenton, but we also have community rooms that, whether you're our partner or not, the community is welcome to use. We have a reservation system, and they can, contact us and reserve those spaces. In addition to that, the services are so varied, from the very stereotypical, exactly what you think of a public library. Come in, check out a book, check out a DVD, get on the computer, check your email, look for a job. We find that the majority of our users these days are coming in. They're doing a lot of career searching. We have a variety of new programs now that are really kind of what I'm super excited about talking about today. One of the ones that really hits the top of my field is the Career Online High School. That's an award that we received from the Department of Workforce and Labor for the state. That was awarded through the state library to 5 New Jersey public libraries throughout the state, and we were very blessed to be able to receive the majority of the scholarships. We received 25 scholarships, and what this is, it is not a GED program. It is not any kind of a half-baked kind of situation. It is a career online high school that those individuals who, now that they've reached adulthood and they had an unfortunate circumstance in their youth that caused them to have to drop out of high school and not complete their high school experience and receive their diploma, now have a second chance at that. And it's very much like online college experience, but it's the online high school, and traditionally it's only been offered for profit. Mm-hmm. So people have had to pay about $2,500 to have that. Now through our program, people actually can do that at the public library. They have to jump through a series of steps. They have to meet certain requirements, and it is for adults. It is not designed to encourage high school dropouts. It is encouraged for adults, and then they can come to the high school or come to the library and complete a high school diploma. And so we're really excited. We have awarded approximately 15 of the 25, and so there's still slots open. So if you're interested in that, go to our website and get more information. In addition to that, we absolutely recognize the tremendous loss that the branches were to the community, and so in an effort to continue to move forward and continue to reach out to the community and continue to offer library services. Our job as the Trenton Public Library is to continue to make sure that the library service that we offer to the community of Trenton is the best service that we can provide, is the cutting-edge 21st century library service that is our goal. And so where we're headed with that is an entirely new service model. The branches were wonderful while they were here, and now we've moved on to a different service model. And right now what that is, we are opening 2 outposts in the next 2 months. Actually the next 6 weeks or so. We're looking for the week of February 16th. We'll have 1 outpost, and I'm going to explain what they are in a second, but the outposts are going to be opening at the YMCA over on Pennington Avenue, and then also in the Executive Professional Building where the Shiloh Development Community Corporation is at 416 on Bellevue, so right there in the Bellevue Health Complex. And an outpost is a way for us to reach out to the community so that individuals who can't get to us physically still have access to our collection and our materials. It'll have a vending machine where it'll contain approximately 350 books. So if you just want a book on the spot, you can go swipe your library card and select your book, and it'll spit one right out at you. It'll contain everything from paperbacks, hardback, bestsellers to picture books for kids, and then it'll also have a book drop box, so you can just go right back when you're done, drop it off in the book drop. And then, in addition, a 30-set locker system that if you contact us and let us know what book you'd like, and it's not in the vending machine, we'll deliver that within the next 24 to 48 hours to that location. You go in, we'll send you a text, let you know it's there. You go in, you swipe your library card, the locker door will pop open, poof, there's your book.
So that's just some of the different things that I didn't even know about.
I
didn't know about the outpost. That's absolutely awesome. In addition to that, you've got the scholarship program. So there's so many other things that are taking place there that I didn't even know. And I frequent the library often.
That's good.
Often, just because it's a space that I like to be in, because it's a calmness, it's a stillness, it's a quietness, which is something that a lot of times in our day and age, it's hard to find that in a space where you can actually get work done and actually meet with someone one-on-one in a good setting. Can you talk about the Trentonian room?
Oh.
Because I think that there's a lot of
Yes.
people who live in this area or have family who have been in Trenton. Trenton is the center for this region. It's the main city.
Absolutely.
So therefore, it's well that we have an archival system that's here. Can you talk about the Trentonian room?
Absolutely. The Trentonian collection is housed within the Trenton Free Public Library, but it really is almost a collection unto itself. It is the collection of the history of Trenton, and it spans all the way back to pre-Civil War, Revolutionary War. We actually have a piece of the arch that George Washington walked under, that the ladies of Trenton built him during his triumphal march. We have all the way up to things that are much more current. And so for individuals who are from Trenton, whose family are from Trenton, we have from the 1920 or 30 tax assessment, we have photos of every home in the city. So if you're wanting to know where grandma lived or where mom or dad lived back in the 20s or the 30s and you have the address, even if you don't have the address, come in, bring us your name, and we'll do that research with you. We'll help you look up, find your roots, find all of that information about. It's a very moving experience to watch people encounter that personal history, to see grandmother's name on a tax list or grandpa's name on a tax list with a little drawing of the inside of their house, and then to marry that up with a photo that was taken of the exterior. It's very powerful, and everyone who's from Trenton would be surprised to know there's a little piece of their history there, and they should come and visit.
Absolutely. And folks, and I want to stress that really there's an amazing amount of information that is available. And again, this is free information. It's not the same as a lot of the websites that bait you in to come in to get some general information. The Trentonian collection has tons of information. If your family member has worked in Trenton, lived in Trenton, went to school in Trenton, etc., if you do the research, you can find it there. And in addition to that, it's just filled like a museum with a tremendous amount of information about the history of Trenton and this region. So there's so much information there. You're listening to us over WIMG 1300. You're watching over WPHY Channel 25 in Mercer County. I'm Jacque Howard, your host, and the name of the program is Today's Topic, Trenton Talks. We'll see you after a short break.
Are you married? Do you and your husband both have term life insurance? If you both don't, you should. You have a lot to protect. Call now, get a free quote for your husband, and while you're at it, get a quote for yourself too, because you both need term life insurance. Call now. 800-915-9542, 800-915-9542, 800-915-9542. Rates are at all-time lows. We'll shop over 30 top-rated companies to get you the best possible rates. Term life insurance, it's the perfect way to protect the quality of your family's lifestyle. You and your husband both need term life insurance, so call now for a free quote for the both of you. 800-915-9542, 800-915-9542, 800-915-9542.
And welcome back to today's topic, Trenton Talks. I'm Jacque Howard, your host. I'm also the host of the Trenton 365 Show. You can find us on Facebook, Trenton 365 Show, and you can see a lot of the different things that we're doing there. In the studio with me is Kimberly Matthews, who is the Executive Director of the Trenton Free Public Library, and we're talking about all things related to the Trenton Free Public Library. Just before that short break, we were talking about some of the programs that are being offered there, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But Kimberly, the library has gone through some renovations recently. I want you to talk about them, please.
We have. We really looked at our space, and we understand how important that is to bring people in, as you said, create a wonderful, lovely space that people can feel comfortable in. We also recognize that it's not the library of old where everything is shush. We don't shush. Well, we have one room where we shush, but people need a quiet space. They need a collaborative space. They need a study space. They need a fun, exciting space. And so we've tried to make all of those spaces. One of the rooms was the room that we were in, that you were in for the Unrelenting Voices, that is our reading room. And that is the 1915 section of the building, and we've really tried to bring that back to that 1915 feel, so very old school library. Then we have the 1976 edition where we have the circulation. We've tried to make that a more welcoming environment. We now have a community room that can seat up to 150 that essentially is a collaborative space. It's study groups, it's community meetings, it has presentation equipment in that room, so it serves a variety of purposes. In addition, a space that people haven't seen, or a few people have seen, but not too many, is we have a 4,200 square foot space in the in the ground floor that has never been open to the public. We have been clearing that out over the last year, and we try to do things very economically, so they tend to go a little slowly, but we hope to, in the next few months, be opening a brand new children's room. And so some folks may have seen in the newspaper, it was on the front page, we brought in a California muralist, and she donated a mural to the library, and it's this beautiful, colorful, dragon, fanciful kind of mural, and creating that space for the kids is extremely important to us.
Mm-hmm. And you moved pretty quickly when you said 4,200. Folks, that's a 4,200 square foot space dedicated to children in a library. That's absolutely amazing, and that in itself is enough, I think, to encourage people to just want to come there and spend some time. Earlier, before we came on the air, we were talking about another outreach program that you have in partnership with another organization. Can you talk about that?
Yes, we're very excited to partner with Meals on Wheels of Trenton and Ewing, and what we're doing is they have 110 Trenton residents that are participants in that program, so we're working with them to bring materials to those homebound residents of Trenton, and so we think that's just a fabulous program that reaches an untouched group of Trenton residents. So we're very, very pleased that they were willing to partner with us and bear that burden. It's a lot to schlep those books back and forth, and they accepted that burden so willingly. So we're very pleased.
Excellent. Shout out to Sasa Montano, a good friend of mine.
Yes.
I wanted you to talk about some of the logistics of the library, and I say that because a lot of people don't understand the Mercer County library system, and the library system, and why Hamilton has their own library system and Trenton has their own library system, but Ewing and Lawrence, they've been included in the Mercer County library system. Can you just explain to people about how that works?
Absolutely. Mayor Briggs in 1900, a very wise man, and you can read back to his speeches at the time, and he basically said that the one thing that was going to take Trenton into the next century was having its own free public library. The purpose of a free public library, we talk about our books, we talk about all those lovely things, but the purpose and the mission of a free public library in the United States of America is to create access to information so that citizens can participate in their own democracy. That is the sole purpose of a library. And so it is integral to our democracy. And Mayor Briggs realized that. He presented to the citizens of Trenton at that time by referendum vote if they wanted to form their own library. We are an autonomous agency, or we are not a city department, although we are almost completely funded by the city and property taxes. And so back in 1900, the citizens of Trenton almost overwhelmingly voted, again by that referendum vote, to start the autonomous Trenton Free Public Library. And so we truly are a completely separate organization. And so, a lot of folks talk about merging us or this or that, but actually that would be something that would go back to the citizens. It would have to actually go back to the citizens of Trenton for a referendum vote to decide whether or not, and it would really be an unprecedented thing for the capital city of New Jersey. We would actually become the one and only, at this point, capital of a state within the United States that did not have its own municipal library. We would be the first, and I'm not sure that's a precedent we want to set.
Excellent. And folks, the folks in the audience who are watching and listening, drill down on that a little bit. For the folks who don't understand where the library system in Trenton is and what's happening there, just like Kimberly just said, if we were to try to change this, what kind of precedent that would set and what kind of a message that would put out there to the people in the community and the other state capitals who have library systems as well. So let's just keep moving forward with that. But add on to it.
If I can add on to that, because in addition, we didn't just sort of spontaneously begin in 1900. Our organization, as you trace its roots back, we actually are 250 years old. So we actually started as the Trenton Library Company in 1750. And so we actually were burned by the Hessians when they came to town. And then after the war was over, they went out and they put in the Philadelphia paper if anybody had any books that belonged to the Trenton Free Public Library, if they could please return them. And actually the only books we got back were the ones that were checked out. And so we got about 500 books back to start a core collection again to move forward. So we're a 250-year-old organization here in the city of Trenton, and we're still chugging along.
And folks, that in itself is something that needs to be celebrated. The Trenton Free Public Library is 250 years old, and I think that's something that we can work on doing something. And so when your anniversary is coming up, I think that we can probably put together something pretty amazing to bring that to more people for more light. I also wanted you to talk about the library systems now in this region. Some of them they have very particular rules. Who can come. It's open generally to the public, but who can take books out? To what level you can take books out? Can you just explain how the Trenton Free Public Library works?
Absolutely. I think that what's confusing to folks is we are a free public library. We are one of the only public buildings anywhere in any city, a library is, that anyone can walk into. And as long as you don't misbehave, and we don't have to ask you to leave for the benefit of all the other users, you can come in and you can spend your day reading, pondering, whatever it is you want to do. And that in and of itself, that doesn't exist very often in our society anymore. There's very, very few spaces like that. And so in addition, if you want to use our services, because we are supported by property taxes of the citizens of Trenton, we do reserve our services that are material checkout, computers, and such, to the residents of Trenton. And just like all of our surrounding entities, Mercer County, Ewing, Hamilton, all of those, we do offer a library card to anyone who's not a resident. If you are not a resident, but you are a student or you work in the city, you can get a $50 library card for $50 a year. And then if you have no ties to the city of Trenton, but you just love us so much that you'd like to use our library, we do charge $75 a year. And that really is simply to offset the fact that the Trenton residents are paying their property tax to support our services, and that is very comparable. That's exactly the same as what all of our surrounding agencies do as well. Some libraries do find that they do reciprocal borrowing in different areas. For example, a county and a city system may do reciprocal borrowing. At this point, we haven't really been able to work that out. We're more than willing. Mercer County has been a little bit more reluctant to do reciprocal borrowing with us because they have an extremely large system. We have a lot less to offer them than they have to offer us, so I don't think they've felt that it was quite an equivalent trade at this point. We're always open to the option, though.
Excellent. What's the best way for people to find out about the Trenton Free Public Library?
Go to our website. It's trentonlib.org.
TrentonLIB.org. And there they can find all the information, the history, the procedures, the policies, etc.
Yes, and absolutely more information on the Trentonian collection. One of the things that we've recently done, we did receive a grant from the State Historic Commission that we have now completed. We digitized all of our pre-Civil War manuscripts, and so they are all online. You can go right to our catalog, put in anything, and they're all right there for your perusal without even darkening our door.
Excellent. So Trenton
LIB.org.
Great. I want you to talk about your personal history story about the library. I'm sure there's some things that you know or that you've come across in your time, the 7 years at the Trenton Free Public Library. That's a really interesting story. You had told me one last Thursday about Frederick Douglass, but I'd like you to tell that one and one other one, please.
Okay. I do have two. Well, at the event that you and I were both at, one of the things that I talked about was how interesting it is to me as someone who's come from outside of not only the city but also the state. When I came to Trenton to me is the very name of it is Battle of Trenton, George Washington. It is the birthplace of our country. It's so many amazing historical references. And so when I came and discovered there is no hop-on, hop-off bus, there's no trolley that goes around and sees all the historic sites. And one day I was sitting at a local eatery downtown and I looked across and there's this lovely mural and I realized that it marked the spot where the U.S. Constitution was read for the first time. And I just thought, there's so much history that we as Trentonians are really just oblivious. I don't know if it's we take it for granted. I don't know what it is, but that to me is shocking. We had a group of young people who came in and they help us. We have so many things in the Trentonian collection, so many pieces of ephemera and pieces of paper that we use students and volunteers to go through all these pieces of paper. And when we have large groups come in, we say, as you're reading through, if you see anything interesting, raise your hand. If not, just go ahead and put it back in the pile. And if you raise raise your hand, the librarian will come over, she'll look at it and see what it is. One of these boxes that we found after the fact that no one had raised their hand over was a letter from Frederick Douglass. So number one, the student who was reading it didn't know his name, didn't know his importance to history, let alone to the city of Trenton. And then what it was him thanking one of the prominent residents of Trenton for allowing him to come and stay on his property during the passing of the 15th Amendment. And so it was just such a powerful thing to have, but at the same time to know that the student who was seeing that didn't realize what he was seeing. So it was just a very interesting moment. My personal story, because I see them flashing the cards on our time, my personal story was, again, knowing the age of and the history of our institution, I'm a caretaker of that. I am a guardian of that history and making sure that we make the strides that we can while I'm here and moving on. And we were looking through a box of books that were in the boiler room, literally the boiler room. And we were getting ready to dispose of them. They looked like old, brittle, just baked. They'd been in the boiler room for years. And I said, we need to go through this before we discard them to make sure there's nothing important. And in that box that no one had gone through in I don't know how many years was one of our original 1750 books stamped with the Union Library, the Trenton Library Company logo. And we found it. One of those books that was returned to us.
There you have it, folks. Kimberly Matthews, the Executive Director of the Trenton Free Public Library, spending some time with us here on Trenton Talks. I'm super excited. Again, the library is a place that I find myself gravitating to wherever I am, whatever the community is. And folks, I encourage others to do that as well. I heard a statistic that less than 25% of the population owns a library card. If you can read and you don't read, you have no advantage over the person who cannot read. Thank you for your time. I'm Jacques Howard, the host of the Trenton 365 show. This program is called Trenton Talks. Today's topic. More information can be found by visiting the WIMG website, WIMG1300.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well, WIMG1300. The Trenton 365 show is on Facebook, and you can also find us on Twitter, Trenton 365. Talk to you soon, folks. Bye now.
Today's topic on Trenton Talks is a program that deals with the topics that are important to you. Today's topic on Trenton Talks can be heard every Tuesday night on 1300 WIMG at 7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. and can be seen on WPHY 25. This is a service of WPHY Channel 25 and the Morris Broadcasting Company.